All right. Was around. And one no practitioner. Scott know how to fight too. Um, Scott's been around the game for a long time. And everybody loves Strike Force. I know I did. I was a big Strike Force fan, but it went under. And I think Strike Force, they had the people, the fighters in place, but I just didn't think that they knew how to run a business. The business model was flawed. Strike Force did a lot of dumb things, man, and it caused them to go under. But I think Bellator, to me, is ran a bit. I think Bellator is much more smoother now. I think Bellator is run better than Strike Force. And I think Scott Coker, he's got the women in place. He's got a few good women in place to solidify himself as the Don of women's MMA. And I think Scott Coker can take it over. He's already got, some decent, he's got some decent flyweights. He's got a few featherweights out there. He's building his roster slowly. And I think Scott Coker would be a fool not to acquire the rest of these top featherweights. I think he'd be a fool not to acquire more of these top flyweights because the fighters are happy there. They may not be getting all the pay that they hope to get. Some of them are getting paid pretty good. But they seem to be happy at Bellator because he's making it, an opportunity. He's giving them opportunity, And I think with the zone, I think Scott Coker is going to be able to do more. And I think the zone is good for Bellator. Now, it's bad for boxing because the boxers, man, they don't fight. They fight once a year, man. And so people can't really put a name with a face. The casuals can't. But in MMA, you got fighters that fight 3 and 4 times a year. So when they're fighting at that frequency, the casual fans can put a name with the face, and then you can sell a product. So with the zone, backing Scott Coker, this might be a good deal. Maybe Scott can make the business a little bit more attractive to high-name fighters like Cyborg. Okay? It's no secret that's Chris Cyborg. She's not happy in the UFC, but, she's not stupid. Cyborg would be an idiot to go to Bellator and not be able to get the same money. See, I think Scott, they could probably, they're going to have to be able to afford Chris Cyborg. And Chris would probably even take a pay cut, but her sponsorships would be able to make up the difference, Because at Bellator, you're allowed to have your sponsors. Something that the UFC, they don't let you do. But you're allowed to have your sponsorship, so that can make up some of the difference. And then Scott can probably make, concession to where Chris can make more pay-per-view points. I mean, they could do that, and Chris, make the deal more attractive to Chris. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but, they're going to have to make it a very good offer. Like, Chris isn't just going to go back into MMA after she leaves the UFC. She ain't going to do that. And if the UFC want to keep Chris Cyborg, they're going to have to the offer got to be good, okay? Somebody going to have to throw some money around to keep Chris around, okay? And I think Scott Coker, they need to go ahead and be prepared to sell out to get Chris there because you got Julia Budd there, okay? You already got the champion. She's been, dominating these people, okay? You got all these fighters there at Bellator, okay? You got a pretty good featherweight division. Scott Coker need to get fighters like Pam Sorensen. You need to get, people like Dan Dubois. You need to get those people in there because they're going to bring excitement to the division. They're going to bring that excitement. They're going to come. They're going to talk. They're going to hype your fights up. They're going to get in there. And, they ain't scared to fight nobody. They ain't afraid. They done already called out the best. I mean, hell, you got Zero dos Santos, man. They need to get Jose Cotton. All these people calling out Cyborg. Ain't none of these women, they ain't scared of no Cyborg. Now, if they win, now that remains to be seen, okay? But at least they ain't afraid. They ain't afraid to get up in there. They'll get up in there. They'll take that fight. They want that work. I don't think any of these people are these featherweights, the legit featherweights. They're not afraid to get in there with Cyborg. And I think that's been the difference, man. There's been a lot of people who, they get in there, but they just afraid, man. Like, they take one shot off Cyborg and they quit. They stop. But, these real legit featherweights, they ain't gonna do that. They gonna get in there, they gonna fight. But see, here's the thing, man. Scott Coker can't be stupid right now. Like, really, he's in a good position. And, we kind of need to smoke him out. We need to smoke him out. Okay, we need to set Scott's house on fire. And when that smoke get in Scott's lungs, Scott gonna run out of that house, and he gonna run out of there getting smoked out, and he gonna do what we want him to do. We need to smoke him out. I'm talking about we need to smoke him out, and I'm talking about smoke him out to the point where, okay, Scott, this is what you have right here in your hands, okay? You got it right here in your hands. And all you got to do, man, all you got to do is co-sign. That's all Scott got to do is co-sign what we want. And what do we want? We want Scott to be in a position, because I think his women's MMA, I think it's getting better. I think the UFC still, their women's MMA department is better than Bellator, but I think Bellator is making gains. And I think Bellator, they're gaining quickly, man. They're gaining quickly. And the UFC, man, they got to do a better job of treating that. I don't think the UFC do the best job with the women. Now, I think the UFC does a great job with the men and how they do things, but, okay, I'll take it back. Now, this September the 8th card, the UFC, they outdid themselves, okay? You know what? This card would have been flawless if they could have got Cyborg and Nunes. If the UFC, if they somehow could have got Nunes and Cyborg on that September the 8th card, it would have been flawless. But, I mean, we ain't going to get it. So, it is what it is. Thanks to Amanda. Okay, I don't want to call it that. But, thanks to Amanda, because September just not enough time. Okay, her foot still got to heal, and, but she been rolling on the ground and riding bicycles and all this other hot garbage. That's what she been doing. But this man right here, Scott Coker, he's definitely got it in his hand. And this could go one or two ways. It could go very, very south, okay, if Scott don't play his cards right, okay? It can go south. But I think Scott, has the ability to do some things, He may at first not be able to pay some of these girls that he bring in, not pay them as much as they want, but I think over time, I think Scott is going to maturate. He's going to mature the women's MMA program, and then these women will be able to make top dollar. And see, when that happens, then the Bellator takeover is happening. And, even a shout out to Dennis Espinoza. He sent me a link, and it was an article talking about how, actually Bellator, okay, a lot of experts are saying that Bellator, the product, is starting to top UFC, which I'm like, wow, like Bellator. And I got to find that article, man. Dennis put it in a live stream last night, and I put it up on the screen for a minute. But yeah, man. So, women's MMA could be Scott Coker's niche. I think it could be his niche, and I think Scott would do a phenomenal job. Well, he's doing a good job now. Now we just need to get more. We need to get more in there. And I'll probably have a breakdown video, man, to really document what's going on at Bellator. Guys, this is your boy, Coach Shelton Harris, and I'm done. What are you waiting on? Smoke out Scott Coker. I'm done.